Yeah, so this all started out with trying to mount a catch can. Next thing you know, damn near have to pull the heads off. Here's what we're going to be doing today. We are going to be putting in this catch can. I am thinking somewhere in here, somehow, some way. And instead of putting the filter on top here, I'm going to go ahead and put it on the outlet of this. And basically, I am going to have this guy coming off with a dash, I believe it's a dash 10 or 12, I don't know what it is, but anyway, it's the same size as this guy here. I'm going to go ahead and have him come out and tee up right here. And then the other, so let me show you what I'm talking about here. It's going to look a lot like this. So the one that I have my thumb on is going to plumb here. This guy is going to go here or here, depending on what looks better. And then the smaller guy, this guy here, is going to be coming from this little vent guy back here. I don't know if you guys can see it right here. So this shouldn't take that long. I will say this engine bay started out not very cramped, and then slowly as I add stuff, it just gets more and more cramped. This is kind of annoying because I wanted to try to clean this up as much as possible, but can't really get away with not really running a catch can, so I want to make sure that I have something to catch all the oil that might be evaporating out. So decided to go with that guy. Gonna go ahead and install it, show you guys the end product. So here's the finished product. I have the 90 degree here going all the way up to T, and then here is the catch can that's simply mounted to the inside fender wall. I don't know, tucks away fairly nicely. I don't know if I'll be able to keep it here when I install my AC. I guess we'll deal with that when that time comes. The other, let's see if I can do this with one hand here. Okay. The other hose here just simply goes around and plugs back there on the manifold cover. But I want to show you guys something really quick where a quick 10-minute catch can install turned into a much larger job and actually a potential catastrophic failure. So I went ahead and put this on, right? So I tightened this down, and when I initially installed this guy here, I don't know if I showed it in the video, I think I did, but anyway, there's a grommet there, and then I put this guy through the grommet, and then I put a nut on the other side. All right, so just so you guys can see what that thing looks like. So let's see. So this guy, right, this guy right here, all right? So he goes all the way through. There's a little grommet there. That's meant to seal and then put this guy on top. Well, there's oil around the sides, and I chalked that up to the fact that when I put this on originally, if you ever seen the engine bay before I installed this, I just had essentially a return hose put on here, and it was just kind of chilling up there just so I can vent without spewing oil everywhere here. I don't have a baffle on the other side, and I hand tightened it. So my thoughts were, well, when this is exhausting, I guess, through here, oil was getting through and seeping next to this guy. Hold on, this is really irritating. All right, it was seeping next to this guy and coming out and kind of dripping downwards. So I went ahead and put this guy on, and as I put it on, I went to tighten it down, and it was tightening fairly easy. And what ultimately I saw was this guy spinning as well, and he was spinning like very, very easily. I don't know if I can do it with my hand. I can move it a little bit with my hand. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. But I looked at this, and I remember I tightened it down much, much more than this. This thing was almost like a pancake, right? So I looked at it, and I kind of shook it, like this. And look at the play in this thing. So ultimately what that means is the nut on the other side is loose, which if that thing let go, that would have been like a ping pong ball inside the valve cover. So I was like, all right, well, no problem. I'll just go ahead and take the valve cover off and tighten it back up, and then I'll just tack it and it won't come apart. Well, to take this thing apart, you know, keep in mind, now that I have this turbo kit on, check out everything that's to come off. So in order to get the valve cover off, you know, you got the bolts. Well, I have my dipstick right there, which is right in the center of this bolt. So I got to take the dip tube off. To take the dip tube off, I got to get to it down there, which to get to it down there, I could make it work, but I got to take most likely the manifold off, simply because to take this guy out, it's kind of hard to explain, but to take this guy out, you kind of have to move him towards you and then up and towards you and up. So the manifold doesn't allow you to do that. Take off manifold, I take off the wastegate, well not really, but I'll have to disconnect at minimum the wastegate here, take this guy off, take off the manifold, take the turbo off. So basically this entire thing's got to come apart. Now the only saving grace here is I do have to heat wrap all these pipes. That was something that I was kind of dreading because I didn't really want to take this whole thing apart, but now that I have to do this, I'm going to go ahead and heat wrap the exhaust as well, and hopefully that'll finish up this part here. Yeah, so this all started out with trying to mount the catch can. Next thing you know, damn near have to pull the heads off. But we are where we are, and it's for the best, because take a look at this, guys. If I would have gone, I don't know how much longer, I mean, this thing was coming off for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this back up, and I'm probably gonna tack the inside. I'm actually wondering if I could weld that bung onto this valve cover. But I feel like this valve cover is like aluminum. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking. I'll probably just tack the inside there and put this thing back together. Alright, so I got a bunch of stuff done on the Trailblazer. I actually did an oil change as well. While I was in there, I had a few oil leaks that I just had to fix real quick. Did that, took care of that, and then now on to getting back to the valve cover. So valve cover, boom, tack welded in, checked it. It is good, cleaned it up. Gonna go ahead and throw that bad boy back on there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this guy, downpipe, put everything back together. I have massive leaks on these V-bands for some reason. I can't seem to get them connected right. So I'm gonna go ahead and try some high temp RTV. I'm gonna try this stuff here. I've used it before in different capacities. I used it for like a manifold. I used it for a T4 flange. I used it for a bunch of other stuff, but ultimately it actually worked out pretty good. So I'm gonna go, now that I'm actually putting everything back together, I think for the final time, I'm gonna go ahead and slap this bad boy on. When you use this stuff, you actually don't tighten it all the way. You put a bead of this on, you mate the two surfaces together, you hand tighten it, you let it harden for an hour, and then you tighten it. So because if you tighten it all the way right off the bat, it actually just squeezes it out. And that's on the directions back here as well, but just if you're going to go down that route, please keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and put this together and hopefully go ahead and go for a drive. Alright, so here's the follow-up video I thought I would do after a few weeks of use. So the catch can is actually working out very, very well. I did empty it once or twice. There was stuff in there, not much, but it's close to what I'd expect, especially running 85. For this guy here, I ended up actually swapping out that valve cover for a different valve cover that actually had the baffle in it. It did continue to still have oil seeping out even though I tightened it and tack welded the nut on the inside. When doing that, or switching to this guy here, basically I just took this AN male fitting and just kind of screwed it down into the grommet. And I don't know if you can, but I basically just screwed it down into this grommet here. And I mean, it's fairly loose, but it's not going anywhere because the grommet does have like wear marks in it, so it is holding it. And then keep in mind, this is just exhausting, crankcase pressure and whatnot. So it's not like, you're not building boost or anything in there. So this has worked out just fine. And I still have the crossover from over there. The connections end up putting the orange RTV on all of them, and so far so good. I don't have any leaks. I basically put them in all the V-bands. I put them in all the connections, and there's a huge improvement in just the smell of exhaust when I'm running the car. And I think that it's something that everybody should probably do. It's kind of a pain because when you put it on, you can't really get it off. My thoughts are I don't get everything off. I just clean up as much as I can. I'll not add another layer, and it basically becomes like a pliable gasket almost. So anyway, everything's working out good, and we'll move on to the next video, and hopefully I'll put out the rest of the videos here to show you what happened here and why this O2 sensor is there. See you guys next time.